Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and so are you, and it is Monday, January 6th, and it is 10:36 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's get to it. There are no Q posts, but there is Q news, or at least Q-related news. So let's get to it. Now, I do have a couple people to thank, but unfortunately, I didn't get it together before I came over here to sit down to record. So I'm going to have to get that on the next video. But please, don't anyone ever think that you're not appreciated, because I do appreciate it. This channel is not monetized whatsoever, and I do not have any other advertising in the channel, so I do depend on coffee donations, Patreon, what have you, and I do appreciate it. So thank you so much, you guys. And let's get to the news. All right, we're going to hit on this. First off, I really sometimes my mind is boggled at the nerve of this woman, really. All right, Pelosi to introduce war powers resolution to limit Trump's military actions with Iran. Wow. Now this is from Bongino. What's his name? Don't you hate that when I forgot his first name? Anyway, I listen to him all the time. I should know his name. It should be right there, and it worries me when it's at the tip of your tongue and you can't remember it. I start thinking, I'm not getting that old, am I? Hope not. Anyway, so this is from his show, and Democrats just can't stand the fact that President Trump took decisive action against revered Iranian terrorist Qasem Soleimani, and are now acting to limit his ability to use military force against the Islamic Nation. In a letter to Democrats released late last night, Pelosi called the killing of Soleimani a provocative and disproportionate military airstrike. Oh, really? This man that's killed hundreds of American servicemen and women and killed his own people, and that was disproportionate? Really, Nancy? Pelosi wrote, as members of Congress, our first responsibility is to keep the American people safe. For this reason, we are concerned that the administration took this action without the consultation of Congress and without respect for Congress's war powers granted to it by the Constitution. Well, I don't know, Nancy Pelosi, if you know this or not, but actually it was completely legal for him to do what he did, and she knows that full well. All right, she's just a little insulted, like, what? You didn't tell me, and I'm the most important person ever? What? Yeah. Pelosi wrote, okay, we just read that. Never mind. The letter continues. This week, the House will introduce and vote on a war powers resolution to limit the president's military actions regarding Iran. It reasserts Congress' long-established oversight responsibilities by mandating that if no further congressional action is taken, the administration's military hostilities with regard to Iran cease within 30 days. Fox News points out that the War Powers Act was passed in 1973 as a means to prevent presidents from using military force without congressional approval. The legislation requires the president to notify Congress of circumstances necessitating the introduction of United States armed forces within 48 hours. And do you think that he could tell that particular Congress what he was going to do and not have it reach Iran? Really? Of course he couldn't. On Saturday, the White House complied with its responsibilities under the War Powers Act and sent a document to Congress informing lawmakers of the airstrike against Soleimani. Pelosi, of course, was not happy with the information Congress received, saying it raises more questions than it answers. In a statement, the Speaker said this document prompts serious and urgent questions about the timing, manner, and justification of the administration's decision to engage in hostilities against Iran. This initiation of hostilities was taken without an authorization for use of military force against Iran, without the consultation of the Congress, and without the articulation of a clear and legitimate strategy to either the Congress or the public. Last week, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that Soleimani was killed due to imminent threats to American lives, and claims President Trump's decision to take out the leader saved American lives. During an appearance on CNN, Pompeo said he could not discuss the nature of the threats. However, the American people should know that President Trump's decision to remove Qasem Soleimani from the battlefield saved American lives. There's no doubt about that. He was actively plotting in the region to take actions that would have put dozens, if not hundreds, of American lives at risk. He continued, "We know it was imminent. That was an intelligence-based assessment that drove our decision-making process." Soleimani led the Quds Force for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, which supported terrorist proxies in the Middle East and was responsible for the death of at least 608 U.S. troops in Iraq. So, yeah, she's just sore because we didn't ask her. After all, she is the most important person in the world to herself. Narcissists always think that. They always think the world revolves around them. And Nancy Pelosi, unfortunately, is one of them. So let's go back and continue on. All right. Now, this is particularly interesting. No, it isn't, because this is old. Never mind. All of a sudden, I got thinking about that. That's got to be an old article. And sure enough, as soon as I looked at the date, now I'm not sure why I grabbed that. Well, one never knows. I could have been thinking any number of things, or not thinking at all. All right. But there's other stuff to get to. Have no fear. All right. Now, this is from a Twitter. Now, this is very, very interesting. Let's just read this here. It's from Nick Friesen. Message for Iran. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. If you want war with the United States, one thing I can promise, so help me God, someone else will raise your sons and daughters. Boom. Oh, yeah. Big time. Now, let's listen to what he has to say. It's just 40 seconds.
We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters. We don't care what you look like.
So, and it's just going back to repeat it again, but I thought that was very, very good. Like, don't mess with us, and I like this part. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. I love that. I think that is what these places, now, of course, no, I'm no expert in foreign policy. Absolutely not. However, I think that some of these countries like that need a show of force and a man that they know is not going to back down and not going to play games with them. And if ever there was such a man, it's Donald Trump. He is not going to play games. He's not going to coddle them. He's just not going to play by their rules. So I don't know. I know that it puts us on alert in case something happens here. There could be cells in America. I'm quite sure there probably are, seeing that our borders have been very porous, to say the very least. So, yeah, I know that it puts us, in danger. But however, what could he do if he knew that this was going to put further American lives in danger? What was he going to do? Just let it happen? I don't know. So let's go back now. And let's go to the next thing. Let's take a look at this. Nancy Pelosi to introduce resolution implying preemptive surrender to Iran. Yes, you heard that right. Preemptive surrender to Iran. That is what Pelosi wants. Yeah, the woman that most times can't even put a coherent sentence together. She is not even the one in charge. She is being coached through this. As we saw, there was a video, it disappeared very, very quickly, but it was a video of her being coached on what to say, and she was practicing it and whatever. This is not just coming from her, collective memory or whatever. It's not. She is just parroting. She's regurgitating. She's not thinking. She's dangerous. Just like AOC, Tlaib, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar. These people, they responded to a cattle call to learn how to be senator, or to learn how to get into Congress. And AOC, that's what they did. She was a bartender. She responded to a call, basically a casting call, and this group taught them how to get into Congress successfully and backed them with the assistance of some very deep pockets back to them. And that is where they are. But if you think that these people in and of themselves are thinking up all this stuff, no, they are simply parrots. They are regurgitating, they are memorizing and repeating it like a parrot would. But that does not imply brains. Anybody can remember things by rote and regurgitate them. It doesn't take a lot of, wherewithal to do that. Okay. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, wrote a letter to her Democrat colleagues in the House on Sunday to reveal a new war powers resolution that amounts to a preemptive surrender to Iran in ongoing hostilities. Now, this is similar to the article that we read, but it goes a little bit further. Pelosi's letter begins with a declaration that President Donald Trump's airstrike last week targeting Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, leader of the terrorist Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, responsible for the murders of hundreds of America and for recent attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, was provocative and disproportionate. Terms suggesting the attack was illegal under international law and could constitute a war crime. Well, she's wrong about that, of course. Harvard Law School professor emeritus and Democrat Alan Dershowitz argued in Monday's Wall Street Journal that the strike was not only lawful, but an easy call. The president has the constitutional authority to take military actions short of declaring war that he and his advisors deem necessary to protect American citizens. This authority is extremely broad, especially when the actions must, by their nature, be kept secret from the intended target. Nonetheless, Pelosi's letter indicates that the House will declare the president's action illegal under international law. Countries around the world reading about this have to be laughing at what's happening in America. Really, they do. Now, they respect Trump. Oh, yes, they do. But this mess? Who can respect that? So anyway, The letter further claims that Trump's action endangered our service members, diplomats, and others by risking a serious escalation of tensions with Iran, placing the responsibility for violence not on Iran, which recently attacked a U.S. Navy drone, a Saudi oil field, and, via proxies, American soldiers and civilians in Iraq, but on the United States, which has restrained itself until the recent assault by Iranian-backed militia on the embassy. Yeah, we didn't pull a Hillary Clinton, and that is a very good thing. I think almost all Americans would agree, even unreasonable Americans. The letter goes on to describe a new resolution that would limit the president's military actions regarding Iran, essentially signaling a surrender in the political conflict before the Iranian regime itself has managed to respond. Pelosi adds that the resolution reasserts Congress' long-established oversight responsibilities by mandating that if no further congressional action is taken, the administration's military hostilities with regard to Iran cease within 30 days. Under current law, the War Powers Act of 1973 limits the time that a president can lead a military effort without formal authorization to 60 days following a required presidential report to Congress when hostilities began. The new resolution, which Pelosi say mirrors a similar Senate bill by Senator Tim Kaine, would amount to an effective surrender by signaling that the president has no congressional support for striking back against Iran and imposing a new deadline for any military action that would give Iran greater freedom of action. Paradoxically, the resolution could force the president to choose more drastic measures of conducting a war effort before the deadline. By declaring the attack provocative and disproportionate, the resolution also invites international prosecution of the president, as well as members of the administration and the military itself who carry out his orders. The U.S. does not recognize the authority of the International Criminal Court to prosecute Americans for war crimes, but the ICC takes a different view, and future Democratic administration might well side with the ICC instead. Pelosi's letter indicates that the new War Powers resolution will be introduced and voted on this week. She has not yet indicated when she will transfer the articles of impeachment passed by the House on December 18th to the Senate, which she claims is a necessary prerequisite to the Senate holding a trial on the president's removal from office. She is playing games, and she's playing very dangerous games. And she's doing this under the guise of helping Americans. Are you kidding me? If she cared anything about Americans, she'd get out of her little ivory castle that she lives in and her little la-la land that she's off in and get her nose out of the glass of vodka, and she would take a look at her district and see what is happening. She's got to know. The stench of it alone has to tell her what's happening. But does she care? No. Her priority is impeaching a president, a duly elected president, for something that he didn't even do. That's her priority. And now to obstruct him in any way she can. It's unbelievable. This woman is not even fit to work at McDonald's. I'm sorry, but she's not. She really isn't. I don't think she could even effectively manage a McDonald's. And you know what? I'm not making fun of anyone that works out of McDonald's, because I worked managing restaurants a long time ago. That was my very first career. And I know it is a very difficult job. It is. And you work unbelievable hours. So I'm not putting anybody down for the work they do. In fact, I have only respect for those that work in the restaurant industry. But she wouldn't be able to keep up with a normal job, a normal 9-to-5 job. She wouldn't be able to do. So, and I mean, I don't think that it's too hard to see that, because she hasn't done anything, nothing for her district at all. Yeah. All right. So let's go back and go to the next one. This is another one of those things that make you go, I think this is highly symbolic, if you ask me. And, well, you're here and you're listening to me, so I guess sort of you are asking me. Sewage pipe bursts, flooding Golden Globe's red carpet. Now, wait, where is this from? This is from way back. I thought this just happened. Wow, because this is all over Twitter like it just happened, and yet this says January 12th, 2014. Have you guys been seeing this on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else about this sewage pipe bursting on the Golden Globes red carpet? It's been, because actually I didn't even notice the date on this until just now, and everybody has been talking about this like it just happened. Wow, it didn't just happen, but if it had just happened, I would have thought it was symbolic, because that is some pretty, well, and you can see everybody's holding their little noses there, but that happened in 2014, so who cares? But I'm sure you did hear about the guy that hosted, what is his name, Ricky Gervais. He hosted the Golden Globes, and boy, did he let them have it. Now, it's too long of a clip to be able to play in a video like this, because it was, I don't know, 12, 13 minutes. But if you can, get out there and find it, do a little search. I know that there is quite a few of it on YouTube. There's many people that have uploaded that clip, but he let them have it. Let me tell you, it was amazing. And it has been postulated, and I'm not sure whether there's any truth to this whatsoever, and I want to tell you that up front, because I don't want you to run with that and say, oh, well, Michelle said that, this happened, so it, no, I don't, this is a hearsay. But there was a very, very huge police presence there, and some people have been postulating that there were indictments handed out because there was a lot of people in one place. They knew where they were, and that there were some indictments handed out. I don't know if that's true, but listening to his monologue or his introduction to the Golden Globes was unbelievable. I sat there, and everything that he said, I was like, oh, I could not. Really, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And then he'd just go, I don't care. Yeah, you've got to see this. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of playing it up and then not playing it for you, teasing you. But it's too long to play for and I don't think it's fair either. To watch a video of a video is, But find that for yourselves if you haven't, and watch it, because it is the best thing I've seen in a very, very, very long time. So anyway, and then he talked too about Jeffrey Epstein killing himself, and then everybody was kind of groaning, like he said something about Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and then everybody kind of groans, and he goes, oh, I know he's your friend. And it just, it was unbelievable. And Tom Hanks, you should have seen the look on his face. It was like I couldn't believe it. People just didn't know what to do. Like they'd laugh nervously, but it was like they didn't know what to do. So anyway, but boy, did he let them have it with the truth. All right, let's come back here and da-dum-dum. Now, this is a little bit interesting. Okay, no, I think it's a lot interesting. So this person, Michael Coudray, said flight records show numerous U.S. military aircraft flying around the country of France rather than through it. Now, that's a little odd. This appears to indicate France has closed its airspace to U.S. military flights. Did France side with Iran? And he shows us this particular flight, and it's going around. Like, why would you fly this way instead of just going this way, which is much shorter? Doesn't even make any sense. So why are they flying around France? Has France closed its airspace to us? I don't know. But it's interesting and it bears, further investigation. If any of you guys know any information, I don't know, maybe some of you are pilots, or I don't know, but let us know in the comments, because I know I read through them, and I know a lot of you do as well. So, okay, we're going to go on now. Yes, we are. We're going to go to this. Alrighty, and report, Lindsey Graham hammers Pelosi, the Senate's about to roll right over you. I hope so. Lindsey Graham just issued a deadline and a warning to bungling Speaker Pelosi, who is still clutching her pearls and her impeachment documents. Lindsey Graham just issued a deadline and a warning. Okay, we just read that. Graham is now warning Pelosi that if she doesn't deliver the articles of impeachment this week, the Senate could change the rules. He said that they're prepared to deem the articles delivered so the trial can begin. Graham went on to say that it's ridiculous for Pelosi to hijack the articles of impeachment and try to extort the Senate to get her way. I agree, but she's a spoiled narcissist. So what would you expect? It's all about her. It's all about keeping the attention on her and obstructing Trump. So yeah, Graham said they're prepared to deem the articles delivered so the trial can begin, and I think that's great. Graham went on to say it's ridiculous for her to hijack the articles of impeachment. Absolutely it is. So let's come down here. It's certain that the GOP-led Senate will acquit President Trump, and the Dems have known this all along. Now they're just trying to drag out the sham impeachment to avoid the backlash of wasting taxpayers' time and money, something that they all do very, very well. We're not going to let Nancy Pelosi use the rules of the Senate to her advantage. This is dangerous to the presidency as an institution, Graham told Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo. They impeached the president, but the Speaker of the House is holding the articles back, trying to extort the majority leader of the Senate, trying to extort from the majority leader of the Senate a trial to her liking. They're trying to hold these articles over the head of the president. Graham added, the reason they're not sending the articles is because they are so weak and it's a pathetic case. They're looking to add something. Lindsey Graham continued, if she continued to refuse to send the articles as required by the Constitution, I would work with Senator McConnell to change the rules of the Senate so we could start the trial without her if necessary. When asked how quickly he would act on this threat, Graham responded, days, not weeks. Graham explained, if we don't get the articles this week, then we need to take matters in our own hands and change the rules. Deem them to be delivered to the Senate so we can start the trial. We'll invite the House over to participate if they would like. If they don't come, we'll dismiss the case and get on with governing the country. When asked how he expects the Senate impeachment trial to go, Graham said it would follow the same procedure that the 1999 trial of Bill Clinton did. Graham explained, we'll use the Clinton model, where you take the record established in the House, let the House managers appointed by Pelosi make the argument. We then let the president make his argument why the two articles are flawed, and then we'll decide whether we want witnesses. But this should be done in a couple of weeks. I think they've had just about enough of little Nancy. Another reason the Dems are dragging this out is they're hoping that the public tide will change in their favor. Oh, well, lots of luck with that. And people will suddenly decide to support a partisan sham impeachment. Good luck with that, idiots. Yeah, well, they also want to use this to wound President Trump in the upcoming 2020 election because they know they have nobody that can beat him. Oh no, not even close. If Pelosi fails to deliver, the Senate better act swiftly and put an end to this charade. Enough is enough. Oh, I think we all agree with that. And not just to mention that, but wasting money. They're wasting taxpayer money that could go to, like, I don't know, Nancy, let's see now. Maybe cleaning up the streets in San Francisco and the other areas where the homeless are congregating. And I'm not blaming the homeless. I'm blaming the leaders. the politicians. That's who I'm blaming. And you know what? If she is ever held responsible for the things that she's done, I think that going to Gitmo is too good for her. I think she should have to hang out with the homeless in her own district. I think she should have to stay there and, just smell the wonderful aromas that come with the raw sewage and things like that. That's what I think. I don't know. I think that would be fair. She expects other people to have to, and people with jobs that have to walk by all these homeless people and the piles and kind of play hopscotch with the piles of poo. Come on. They even have to have an app. Like, what is that app called? It's something about, I don't know. But basically the app is like when you spot poo, you can, take a picture of it. I don't know why they want you to take a picture of it. It's like a pile of poo. How do you describe that? Anyway, it's crazy. Sometimes I even feel myself like the intelligence just leaking through my pores when I look at some of this stuff from the Dems. I like, really. Anyway, all right, let's go back. Let's go look at this. Oh, we have some interesting things tonight for you. That's right, you people and you tiny phone people, because I love me my tiny phone people. I do. All right, Iran's 80 million bounty on Trump is actually just a GoFundMe style gimmick. Oh, well, there's a shock. Yeah, boy, that shocks me. Boy. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, in the vast outpouring of anti-American hatred that accompanied the weekend funeral observances for Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, one funeral organizer decided that a sick version of GoFundMe would be an appropriate way to wage war on America. In a video posted to social media, an organizer for the funeral procession called the general who was killed last week in Iraq by a U.S. drone strike called on all Iranians to donate $1 each in a fund drive to amass an $80 million bounty on the life of President Donald Trump, according to the Daily Mail. Although the request did not come about through official channels, many assumed the bounty offer was issued directly from Iran's leader, and not the case. Yeah. So the British newspaper The Express provided its translation of the man's comments on behalf of all Iran's people, 80 million Iranians, and each puts aside $1 US, it would equal 80 million, the man called out. So, yeah. So it was just more saber rattling. There's nothing behind this. There's no substance behind it, but everybody ran with it. Of course the mainstream media ran with that. Why wouldn't they? Why should we trust them now? All right, let's go back and see what other interesting things we can come up with. Oh, lots of interesting things, like this. This from The Independent. Asia on high alert amidst fear mystery pneumonia virus in China could spread. Uh-oh. Those traveling by plane from Wuhan to nearby countries are being screened for high temperatures. Sounds familiar. A mystery respiratory illness gripping... Boy, doesn't that sound mournful, his crying. Isn't that sad? You'd think that that cat had lost his last friend in the world, which is not true, because he was just cuddled up with my other cat together on the bed, so happily together, and now he's crying like who knows what. Anyway, I digress. A mystery respiratory illness gripping a central Chinese city has put countries in Southeast Asia on high alert after it was feared to have spread to Singapore. Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand have begun screening all passengers arriving from the city of Wuhan, or Wuhan, I don't know, where dozens of people have been infected. In Singapore, a 3-year-old girl with pneumonia was warded and isolated as a precautionary measure after she had traveled there from Wuhan. But on Saturday, the Ministry of Health said tests confirmed her pneumonia was not linked to the virus outbreak, reported local news site Today Online. Epidemiological investigations, clinical assessment, and laboratory results showed the case is not linked to the pneumonia cluster in Wuhan, said the ministry. Now, apparently, this is getting to be quite an issue. And it won't be long until it's in Canada, because whenever something hits over there, it hits Canada. Why? Because we have a very, very large Chinese population, especially in the Toronto area. I'm sure there's other areas as well, but Toronto area has a huge, huge, huge Chinese population. And out west, Vancouver, that area, very, very large population of Chinese. And especially when Hong Kong went back to the mainland, or supposed to, a lot came here and invested money here in businesses and so forth. And they've been wonderful, here. I mean, they're law abiding, they pay their taxes, they fit in, and they're here to make our country better. So they are very welcome here. But a lot of these things end up in the Toronto area and other areas where there's a large Asian population, because they go back and forth. So it probably won't be too long before it's in Toronto, really. Health authorities in Malaysia have set up testing facilities in airports to single out passengers with abnormal temperatures. We will monitor the international entry points to ensure that arrivals from Wuhan go through temperature screening, and if a temperature is detected, a second examination will be carried out at the quarantine center. Those suspected of being infected by the illness would be referred to the nearest medical facility, said the Malaysian Health Ministry Disease Control Division. In Thailand, Public Health Minister Anutin, a name that I can't pronounce, urged the general public to stay calm and said airports serving daily flights from Wuhan have also had temperature screening devices installed. According to the Bangkok Post, the name that I can't pronounce, said health officials have dealt with communicable diseases, including bird flu and SARS, before SARS was the big thing that was in Toronto quite a few years back now. But he said, we have things under control. There's no problem here. Sure. Whenever authorities say we have things under control, they're lying. Every single time. Every single time. Really. They're lying. Have you ever heard that? Things are under control. And it be true? I haven't. And the other thing that worries me is that I do believe that some of these are hemorrhagic, and that they are being covered by these new mystery pneumonia and this and that. I really think that there are things that are spreading that they are trying to keep under wraps that are not what they are portraying them to be. Now, do I know for a fact that that's the case with this? No, of course I don't. So that is just an opinion. But do I trust them? No. And when they say things are under control, I trust them even less. So Hong Kong authorities have activated a newly created serious response level in response to the outbreak. The hospital authority said on Sunday there were 15 patients being treated for symptoms after recent visits to Wuhan. As of Sunday, 59 people were diagnosed with the mystery illness. See, they're even saying it's a mystery illness, which has been dubbed Wuhan pneumonia, and have been isolated while they receive treatment. Let me see. It says 7 of those diagnosed were in critical condition, and from what I read about this somewhere else, and the numbers were a lot higher than what they're saying. So, I just don't. I don't know. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't trust the authorities. All right, so that is something else for us to be on alert about. Yes, it's over in China right now, but you know what? It's just a plane ride away from you. That's right, because there's none of us that live a long, long, long distance from an airport, unless you're maybe in the Midwest or something. Generally, there's an airport within a couple hour drive or whatever. And so, yeah, these people, you get on a flight now and you're halfway around the world, and in very little time. And if you've got it, you can spread it to not everybody on that plane, who's all going to different places, usually, maybe some in the similar area, but usually people, their end destinations are varied and wide. So yeah, you get it. I mean, it's just not a good thing. All right, let's go back. There's more. That's right, there's more. Always more. Okay, now let's look at this. Back to Epstein. Epstein's noose contradicts official story of his suicide. We're all so shocked. None of us are shocked. I can pretty much guarantee that every single person listening to this that can hear my voice is not shocked about this. Not at all. All right. Ligature shows no signs of blood and has not been cut with scissors. Yeah, that's odd. The first image of the noose supposedly used by Jeffrey Epstein contradicts the official story of his alleged suicide. Yeah, that was the fantasy version, that he commits suicide. Nobody believes that. A picture of the noose was broadcast by CBS News last night during 60 Minutes. The forensic evidence released so far, including autopsy, point much more to murder, but I hesitate to make a final opinion until all evidence is in. Dr. Michael Baden, a renowned forensic pathologist, is investigating the death on behalf of Epstein's brother. It shows a clean cloth with no signs of bloodstains, despite the fact that Epstein's neck was bloody. The noose is also hemmed at either side with no sign of it being cut, contradicting the official explanation that Epstein's body was cut down by the jail guard who found him. And this from 60 Minutes, the EMS people normally, and especially in a jail, should not move a dead body. Yeah, I think everybody knows that. Don't touch a dead body. I mean, unless you're in the hospital and you've been told, you don't mess with a dead body. You wait. Federal prison protocol was not followed after Jeffrey Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. It doesn't look like anybody ever took scissors to it, said 60 Minutes' Sharon Alfonsi. So there is some question, is that the right noose? Well, who will ever know? I mean, where were these autopsy photos and why, all of a sudden they're available? Ooh. Yeah, nothing suspicious there. No. So there's some question, is that the right noose? Dr. Michael Baden, a forensic pathologist who observed Epstein's 4-hour autopsy on behalf of Epstein's brother Mark, continues to assert that Epstein was murdered. Right. The circumstances surrounding Jeffrey Epstein being put on suicide watch after an alleged attempt to take his own life are in dispute. Epstein told his lawyers he didn't try to kill himself. He was attacked by a cellmate. That I believe. There were fractures on the left, the right thyroid cartilage, and the left hyoid bone, said Baden. I have never seen 3 fractures like this in a suicidal hanging. Going over 1,000 jail hangings, suicide in the New York City state prisons over the past 40 to 50 years, no one had 3 fractures, he added. Other unanswered questions remain. Why was Epstein taken off suicide watch? Why did his jail guards fail to properly keep check on him? And why did surveillance cameras recording his cell fail? Yeah, I wonder why. Money. You don't think they were paid to look the other way? I can assure you they were. And this by 60 Minutes. Okay, well, they're just they're showing us what bones were broken: the thyroid cartilage of the larynx and the hyoid bone up here, and this as well, whatever this is. I guess, I don't know what that is. So there you go. And yeah. And it says this video contains graphic images, so I don't do well with graphic images like blood. I really don't. because what will happen is, like, I will faint. I'm one of those, one of those. All right, so let's go back now. I know that's not telling us anything we don't know, but it's interesting that it's all coming out now. That's interesting. But, this is not new news because, it's common sense that he didn't commit suicide. My gosh, these people think that we'll believe anything, and some people will, but not us. Not us tiny phone people. No, we're very discerning. All right, let's go on now. And this is a nice story. It's a nice story. I thought, you know what? I'm going to give them a nice story. Those tiny phone people, they deserve it. They deserve it. They deserve a good story, a feel-good story. Well, we'll see. We'll see how good it makes you feel. I don't know. All right. Right, Bart. All right. A yawn tried to take over there for a moment, but I knocked it down. All right. Irwin family. I hope everyone knows who the Irwin family is. That was the guy, what was his name? He was like the crocodile guy, and his daughter, Bindi Irwin, has carried on his work in conservation. The Irwin family, and of course they're from Australia, so Irwin family's wildlife hospital rescues animal number 90,000. 90,000. And look at the little, I'm not sure if that's a platypus or a duck. It looks like a platypus to me. Alrighty. Not that it matters. But the Irwin family's wildlife hospital recently treated animal number 90,000 as wildfires continue to ravage parts of Australia. Thursday, the late Steve Irwin's son, Robert, posted the photo of the hospital's special patient on Twitter. This is Ollie the platypus. I was right, it is a platypus. You don't see many platypuses around here. None. This is Ollie the platypus, patient 90,000 at the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital, 16 years providing 24/7 rehabilitation and animal rescue. So proud of this world-class facility. Thanks for your support. With these extreme bushfires, wildlife need our help now more than ever. Yeah, you can say that again. It's, oh, look. Isn't that a cute little platypus? Well, I think it is. Many of the animals rescued recently by the Irwin family's Australia Zoo Wildlife Warriors Hospital were injured by the fires spreading across the country, according to WFLA. Friday, the hospital tweeted a photo of a koala that was released back into the wild after suffering from smoke inhalation. Aww. Oh, look, and he's a little burnt there as well. Poor little thing. I'm glad they were able to save the little guy. Brian the koala's home was destroyed by bushfire, and he was suffering from smoke inhalation. Thankfully, after treatment at the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital, he could be released into an area not affected by the fires. Poor little guy. Australia Zoo Wildlife Warriors was established in 2002 by Steve and Terry Irwin as a way to include and involve other caring people in the protection of injured, threatened, or endangered wildlife, from the individual animal to an entire species, its website stated. Friday, Terry tweeted that Ollie the platypus was one of the lucky ones, adding that he'll be well cared for until he can be released back into the wild. Sadly, the animal death toll from the fires has been estimated at nearly 500 million in one area alone. However, experts believe the burned forests will recover and that koalas, kangaroo, and other species affected by the wildfires will return in the future. This week, actress Nicole Kidman and husband Keith Urban donated $500,000 to help those affected by the brush fires, according to Breitbart News. Our family's support, thoughts, and prayers are with everyone affected by the fires all over Australia. We are donating $500,000 to the rural fire services who are doing and giving so much right now, Kidman wrote on Instagram. Saturday singer Pink also gave Saturday, singer Pink also gave $500,000 to help combat the wildfires. I am totally devastated watching what is happening in Australia right now with the horrific bushfires. I am pledging a donation of $500,000 directly to the local fire services that are battling so hard on the front lines. My heart goes out to our friends and family in Oz, she continued. So it's horrendous what's happening there, and I don't think that what we're seeing does it justice. Now, I don't know. I haven't been there, but I think it would be pretty horrific to be there because, you know, there's probably nowhere in the country that you can go and not at least smell the smoke and see it hanging in the air. And of course, some areas have been burnt and the people have been pushed right to the ocean, really. So I don't know. My thoughts and prayers are definitely with the people of Australia, and I feel so sorry for what is happening to their country. It's horrendous. And of course, we have viewers here that are from Australia, and you'll often see them commenting in the comments. So our hearts go out to them. To my knowledge, none of them have been affected, but if any of you are, let us know, please, and let us know what your needs are and how we can pray, because many of us are believers and will do so. So there you go. All right. And okay, just a couple more things here. This one is very interesting. I pray that it's not true. Healthcare company worker claims to let Trump supporters die. Employer responds. All right. After allegedly bragging about letting elderly supporters of President Donald Trump die at a healthcare job, one employee could be in some serious trouble. Reddit user Love This Life 101, who had a long history of posting about his or her hatred of Trump supporters, might have flushed, hang on here, this is distracting me, might have flushed away any future career in healthcare with some disturbing boasts on the website. Hey, I work in a retirement home and care for a lot of Trump supporters in their last days. Love This Life 101 reportedly said in a message to another user, I can tell you with certainty that 11 people, all verified Trump supporters, could have been resuscitated, prevented from failing, had I taken appropriate measures. I am literally letting you effers die off. These people vote like 100% of the time, so it counts. Now, it says, here's the really sick part. The anti-Trump user continued, every time I come on the Donald Trump forum on Reddit and see something that effing disgusts me, example, it's okay to be white postings, I note it and then take it out on a Trump supporter. This set off alarm bells for many after it was reposted, and users scoured the profile and post for any clue that could lead them to the person's employer. Eventually, they seemed to have struck gold. The user's reported employer was identified as AMN Healthcare, a San Diego-based staffing company that confirmed on Twitter that the alleged abuser of Trump supporters is an employee. Although the company claims its employees does not work in a clinical setting, it said it is conducting an investigation nonetheless. The individual by that name who works for us is not a clinician, does not work in a clinical setting, or work in a location where patients are cared for, AMN Healthcare wrote. However, we take this very seriously and are conducting a thorough investigation. Well, he should be fired regardless. Unbelievable. So, the claim of violence is not that out of the ordinary for those who have animosity towards Trump and his supporters. Prominent media figures and politicians have called for violence against those who support the president, a pattern that's been since well before the 2016 election. While this Reddit user may simply be boasting about things that never happened, the incident makes it clear that those who wish to do people harm over political affiliations aren't just confined to street protests. A full investigation by AMN Healthcare is still underway, so there's still hope that no Trump supporters actually died and it was all a fantasy from a hateful individual who should be held accountable. With the 2020 election now in sight, this is just another indication that this will be a tumultuous and divisive year for our nation. It gets wilder and wilder and wilder. And I pray that that is not true at all. Okay, now I do have one thing left here. Yeah, I don't know if I want to get into this. I think I'm going to wait. I'm a little bit apprehensive to post it because you know how YouTube is. So I'm going to leave this link here. It was on dailymail.co.uk, and it's called Graphic Photos, Jeffrey Epstein's Autopsy Reveal Bloodied Neck. But I think I'm going to leave that off. But I do post my notes to Patreon. So if you're interested in getting the links, they will be there. And that will be it for tonight. I thank you guys so much for listening. I'm going to be back tomorrow. That's a warning. So, well, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I will be back. And, but I do have to be out of town. My mother has to go back to the hospital for a checkup, and it's a 2-hour drive there and back. So, I fully plan on posting. I'm going to be getting up, really at the crack of stupid to work on the news and so forth, so that when I return from that, I can record. So it is my plan to record tomorrow. And I hope to see you then. I hope you'll join me again. And you guys stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking the truth. Because, well, you and I both know deception bites.